Let's keep these wheels in motion. In motion. You thought I did not know. Did you think I would let it go? Oh no. And in time, yes, I think it's absurd. But until then, you'll leave your words. But lay on. Lay on. Now it's time to defend your lies. Lies you've been feeding me all this time. And will you reoffend? Oh darling, you say that you are innocent, but your words, they seem irrelevant, but still play on. Now it's time to defend your lies. Lies you've been feeding me all this time. And will you reoffend? Oh darling, oh you have reached your lover's end. No way will we make pretend like we something to fight for. Oh. We had nothing to fight for. We had nothing to fight for. We had nothing to fight for. We had nothing to fight for.
Good evening, race fans. How are we this evening? We're back for more of SIMSA, which is multi-class racing at its finest. Group 1 and Group 3 go head to head. This is round number 8, and we're here at the Italian home of motorsport, which is Monza. Great circuit, 3.6 miles, 5.7 kilometres, 11 turns in a clockwise direction. We will be doing in honour of one of the drivers has lost their partner this week. It's not been a great few weeks for people, to be fair. We're going to be doing a lap of honour prior to the race, starting like a formation lap with a minute's silence in their honour. This is round number 8 of this 12-round multi-class series. And we bring it to Monza, which is one of the fastest circuits on the calendar. You've got some very, very long straights. The run down to turn 1, turn 2 chicane is always a good place to overtake with some slipstream, as is the run down to the final corner, which you can see just coming up on the graphic now. Good exit out of Ascari needed to get the slipstream here. You get a good run out of that final corner, the Parabolica, and you will find you might get a really good run to make an overtake before you get into the chicane at turns 1 and 2. Slipstream is going to be absolute paramount today for all the drivers in all classes. It's going to be the single best way to make an overtake. So there's going to be a parade lap before, before qualifying, not before the race. We will get on to do that shortly. I think we're just on the cusp of 10 drivers again. It's a shame, really, because this is a really good series, but they've struggled after sort of week 1, week 2 to get the numbers. They started off with 2 lobbies. Now they're struggling to fill a single lobby, and it's a bit of a shame. That a series of this quality is not getting the numbers. Maybe it's time to, I don't know, look at why the numbers are quite so low. Philo Engineering, of course, again for the I think they're lining up for the parade lap now. Actually, let's just get in and have a look at that now. Let's do that first. in honour of another loss from our community this week. I see that they can't get to the end of the lap without pissing about. There we go. So we're not too long from the start of qualifying here, which should be relatively shortly. So we're at Monza, which is, as I said, 3.6 miles, 11 turns in a clockwise direction. Awesome circuit that relies very much on exit speed here. You've got very long straight. You come out of the parabolica, which takes you down that long straight across the start finish line into that very, very slow first chicane for turns 1 and 2. And that's always a place where there's potential red flags afoot when you get down there. You've also got the run out of Ascari, which takes you down to the parabolica, which is a good opportunity for overtakes. You need to make sure that everybody is in the right place at the right time for that. We are going to start qualifying now, I believe. Let's have a little look. You see, I think we're on to qualifying, so we'll bring all of our details back up. So we'll go on board with someone once they've done their first out laps. It's going to be the GR3 cars first. They'll set their lap times. Then the Group 1s will go out. They'll have their 7.5 minutes of fame, or 7.5 minute opportunity to set themselves a time. We're going to go on board with Arcanite in that Corvette when he finally does come round. Monza it's one of the oldest circuits actually in racing. Just north of Milan. 1922, it was the world's third purpose-built motor racing circuit, after Brooklands in the UK and Indianapolis in the US, of course, and the oldest in mainland Europe. That's if you're not counting, of course, the UK as being part of Europe. The circuit's biggest event is the Italian Grand Prix, held every year, with the exception of 1980, when it was held at Imola only. Because it was undergoing refurbishment then, the race has been hosted there every single year since 1949. So you talk about heritage, and they keep tracks like Monaco on the circuit, on the schedule, which really shouldn't be there. Oh, good evening, Phil. Just seen your message. How you doing? For me, it doesn't make sense that this has not got much more prestige than Monaco. At least here you get some great racing. So here is where you start to line up your lap. You come round the parabolica, get on the power, and you want to make sure your exit out of there is absolute paramount. You want to be in top gear, flat to the floor as you head down towards turn 1. Let the car stay on this left hand side. You're looking for that 150 meter board on your left hand side. There it is. That's where you slam on the anchors, down through the gears, all the way down into first or second gear. Get that rotation through the very tricky chicane. Not too brave with the power. You don't want to be sending yourself spinning as you come out. Then you've got this long run round the Curva Grande, which is almost an endless curve, but taken flat out, taking you down to the second of these two chicanes. 100 meter board on the brakes again. Cut the curb again. Get back on that power before you head down to the two Lesmo corners. Lesmo 1, light little tap of brake, nothing major, just get the car rotated. Back on the power again, powering down to Lesmo 2, and again this is a very, very paramount corner because you've got a long run now up to Ascari on the power, and you're going to let the car slowly drift to the right hand side under its own steam, no steering input at all. You head under the bridge, that's where you find your brake marker, under this bridge here. Bang on those brakes, get it turned in third gear. He's gone second, I would stay third through the first part of Ascari, round the second part of that chicane on the power again. You want to stay powering through that second left-hander there in Ascari. As you head down towards Parabolica, under the bridge, you should be ramping up into sixth gear as you get there. Tap of brake, it is not a lot, it's almost banked to a touch, which helps you get round that corner, and it opens right out so you can power nice and early with a nice early apex through the Parabolica, and then you head down towards the start finish line for your first representative lap. And there we have it, that's the first lap on the board for Gikela, who is on pole for the Group 3s. Malagator just 4 tenths behind with Ridders not too far behind them. Ridders is pretty swift. Nicky in that Mustang puts himself just behind Ridders with Arcanite bringing up the rear. This racetrack, a wooden setting for this racetrack, and it's got 3 tracks on its site. This is the main Grand Prix track, of course, the 3.6 mile Grand Prix track. They've got a smaller 2.4 kilometre, 1.4 mile junior track, and an oval track as well with very steep bankings, which you don't see that often. This has hosted races other than Formula 1, which is by far the biggest event at Monza. You've got the 1,000 kilometres of Monster and Endurance race held as part of the World Sports Car Championship and the Le Mans Series. It's also got race 2 of the Unique Worlds event, which tried to run Formula 1 and the USAC National Championships against each other. Didn't really work out that well, but it was a good try. The first track was built only in a couple of months by about 3,500 people, which was funded by the Milan Automobile Club. It was initially a 3.4 square kilometre site with 10 kilometres of tarmac road. They did redevelop it quite significantly in 1954, which made it more akin to the circuit we see today. There have been a number of small minor changes over the years, notwithstanding that one of them is you can race this circuit without the chicanes at this chicane here at turn 1 and 2, making it a very, very long straight. But that's suited really to the big, long, high-powered cars without the braking. And we see Arcanite getting it all kinds of wrong there. Maligator currently with the fastest lap and on pole for those Group 3s. Obviously, we're going to see those times smashed by the Group 1 cars when they come out very shortly, in about a minute and a half. That's how we operate here. We've got the Group 3s do their laps first, then the Group 4s come out and chuck in their laps. Important thing about multi-class racing is it's about how the Group 1s manage the Group 3 cars. The Group 3 cars' responsibility is not to get out of the way. It's down to the Group 1 cars to manage their way around those Group 3s. So the Group 3s stay on the racing line, and the much, much faster Group 1 cars find a way around. It's not difficult for them to overtake, given the massive speed differential. It's all about awareness, really, from both sides. The Group 3 cars need to be aware that there's a car coming and just stay on the racing line. Oh, you see the both Lexuses there, absolutely spinning that back end as they come out of Ascari. And Ritter's there getting a massive slipstream off Maligator, and I would not be surprised if this ends up being a stonking time. He was only 8/1000 of a second slower than him for pole. This could be a really, really solid time with that slipstream he got from Maligator. Assuming, of course, Maligator didn't hold him up, which it looks like he did get held up by him for parts of that. But now does Maligator get the same benefit? He's got the slipstream here. He let him through in Parabolica. Now, if he's a little bit slower, this is the problem, of course, is that if you pick up the slipstream there, you've got a whole lap behind the car you're potentially faster than. The place you really want to pick it up is coming out of Ascari, through Parabolica and up across the line. That's where you'll get the most benefit from the slipstream here. You don't want to get caught in the dirty air in the sections of this racetrack that require a little bit more finesse, particularly coming through from this sort of section through the two Lesmos before you get onto that run down to Ascari. You don't want to be tucked right up behind the cars and losing that grip at the back end as you're getting on the power and coming out. And you can see how quickly they're every time they get on the power, how the back just wants to step out on this Lexus and make it very difficult for them to keep the car. So we're going to have a look now as he goes across the timing line whether he's had any benefit being in that hole being punched through the air by Ridders across the timing line. And he is purple. He is 2/10 up on the current fastest time, which is a 47.9. And this will be the last lap for these Group 3s, of course, because it's the Group 1's turn. So this one will be the one that counts most. Up to Parabolica they go. Is he going to make a slingshot around the outside? And it can really, if you get the right pace through here, you can slingshot you through Parabolica. You see there, if you're in the slipstream, what a great overtaking opportunity it gives you at the end of the lap. And I think Maligator is going to keep pole. He didn't actually improve. He lost some time there towards the end. But it's Maligator who takes pole for the Group 3s, with Ridders just behind him. The Group 1's coming out now, of course. And it's Roberts out first. Gikela, he'll be on row 2 for those Group 3s with Nicky alongside. And bring up the real beat Arcanites in those Group 3 cars. Now, the drivers to watch for: Wooly, we know, is incredibly quick. Philo Engineering, also very capable. In fact, I mean, Roberts as well. Those three are the three to watch out for. Philo and Wooly have had some great battles throughout this season thus far, and it'll be interesting to see who comes out on top here. Philo, of course, the master of any sort of tuning. And if you are interested in tuning your GT7 cars and want to get a bit more of understanding of how it works, then look no further than Philo Engineering. He has a website, philoengineering.com, and you'll find everything you need to know about tuning, not just the theory of it, but practical as well, and some examples of the way to get the best out of your cars across the 4 different classes, as well as road cars as well, and some good tips for what parts to add, what parts not to add, and that kind of thing. So definitely check it out if you're interested in getting your cars tuned up. So we can see just how much quicker these Group 1 cars are as Philo throwing this car around these turns. We'll have a look. We'll go on board with Roberts is he's put in the fastest time there, so let's have a look what his time is. That's a 1:35.111. Now, anyone going to get close to that? Anyone going to beat that, in fact? Let's have a look here. So this is Philo coming up to the timing line. Where is he time-wise? He's up, but only by 8/100ths of a second. Nothing in it thus far, but he comes out of Ascari looking to try and take that first position, take that pole position from DSR Roberts on this race here at Monza. This is round 8 of 12, just 4 rounds remaining, and looking forward to the last 4 rounds. It's going to be awesome. We were expecting Corentis this week to be doing a split screen with us, but his laptop went kaput. He has now got a new laptop, and that is a bust from Philo, picking up a penalty there on that lap. So yeah, this lap and the next lap is going to be a bust for him. Yes, Corentis has picked up a new laptop, so we will be after the and next week is the Watkins Glen 6-hour race, which we'll be doing earlier in the day. And that's on Saturday. I won't worry about it. It's on Saturday that. And then on Sunday we'll be doing split screen again here. So we should be up and running. We'll be doing some in-car stuff as well. We'll get Maligator and his cam set up, and we'll have a chat with him during the race. As I said, we were planning on doing it today, but with his laptop going kaput, it didn't seem much sense to be setting up that. Oh, and that's in the wall there. That was who was that? That was a Night Shifter in the wall there, and that could have very, very much done some damage to Philo's car. Philo at the moment yet to put a time on the board, looking pretty darn not good for him. He's got a chance for another lap, so he needs to get this out of the way. The penalty line here, absolutely brutal penalty served there. But now he's got a chance. This is his opportunity. Roberts on pole with that 35.1. Tyler 37 dead. That's a massive gap. As Wooly, I say massive gap, Wooly with a 1:33.5 obliterates, obliterates that time significantly. Philo, despite having a penalty though, also obliterates that time. So you've got to wonder what Philo has got on board. We knew that Wooly and Philo were going to be the ones to watch out for, with Roberts being in that mix as well. But the difference between Wooly and that time by Roberts, absolutely phenomenal, 1.5 seconds. Philo with the penalty, 6/10 behind. So he is definitely in the mix here for a potential. Tyler getting himself ahead of Night Shifter, 1.1 seconds. The American driver ahead of Night Shifter as it stands. Definitely some time left on the board for him, but damage, it's not going to be easy. So we're looking at Philo now. So 34-1 for him. This is going to be really the penultimate chance, I think, with looking at the time, as he heads down to Ascari for the second to last time here on qualifying. How is he looking in terms of that pole position? Under the bridge he goes, across that timing line he is down. Woolley still on pole. Can he find, has Philo got 6/10 between now and the end of this lap? It's going to be very, very difficult to find that kind of time in this final sector here. The best place to find that is going to be through the corners, turns 1 and 2, turns 3 and 4, and the Lesmos at 5 and 6. Excuse me. Philo round the parabolica on that power, heading to the line. How is he looking? It's not pole, it's actually a little bit quicker. He's closed the gap a little bit, but not enough. 33.3 for him. Roberts has improved, 34.3, but still 1.6 seconds behind Woolley, who has improved further, found almost another second in time with a 132.6. So he's not resting on his laurels. He knew Philo was going to have a crack, and he decided that he was going to absolutely melt that car. And I'll tell you what, that is a phenomenal lap time from Woolley. But last crack, he's got a penalty this time, not likely to improve. Is Philo going to be able to find those 6/10 over the next few corners? Through the Lesmos he goes, and he's on that power now, heading down to Ascari. We'll see at the timing line where he is. He's going to need to be very, very close, or up, or at least very, very close to that time. Totally up on his previous time. He's up on his previous by 4/10. That's still a couple of tenths behind Woolley though, which he's going to need to find through here. He's absolutely on that ragged edge through that Ascari there, and it looked very, very quick, but he picked up a penalty. He was on the ragged edge, just over it in fact, just going over the white line, and that has cost him. This is not going to be a pole position lap for him, so it's going to be Woolley leading out the Group 1s. Absolutely phenomenal lap from him. Philo will take row 2. Has Roberts got anything? Roberts is done. He will be on row 2 with Tyler, and it'll be Night Shifter bringing up the rear for the Group 1s. And I've got to say that it's 3.6 seconds separating those Group 1 cars. And if you look at, you've got Maligator there. Him and Ridder's going to have a really good battle by the looks of things. Kada's not too far behind. Nicky, again, not too far behind Arcanite. I think he's going to be scrambling around at the back again. Now, it's all about what tyres they start on, of course. And be interesting to see what tyre choices we have when this race begins. Now, Woolley is going to lead them into turn 1. The thing about turn 1 here is always, it's one of those places where a red flag is always on the cards. You head down at full pelt, particularly in these faster cars, and 2 into turn 1 just does not go. Somebody has to back out. You can make an overtake there. Doing it on lap 1 is absolutely not the best idea while your tyres are still not quite up to temperature. We've got a 5-minute wait till race start. I don't quite know why, what we need to do for 5 minutes, but we do have a 5-minute wait for turn 1. But that was a phenomenal lap from Woolley. That was 32.6. You can see there even he struggled to recreate that lap. There we go. So 5 minutes till race starts. Excuse me. Now the interesting thing here is that you've got 2 classes of cars racing at Monza, and through most corners, in fact through every corner other than Parabolica really, you're looking at single file. So it's very much a case of the Group 1 cars have got to kind of plan where they're going to catch these Group 3s as they start to lap them, and think about their exit from the corners. If you end up tucked in behind a car, you end up tucked in. You just have to accept that, and try and find a way around on the straights. There's plenty of them here, so there shouldn't be too many incidents. Certainly not like we had. And to be fair, we didn't have many at Red Bull Ring either, because again, you have them a number of different straights which allow you to find that space to get around the slower cars. But I mean, if you're looking at the lap times, 1:32.6 for Wooly in that 919. The fastest Group 3 car is almost 15 seconds slower with a 47.9. So very, very quickly we're going to see, probably somewhere around lap 4 or 5, we're already going to start seeing cars lapping ready for lapping the classes, should I say, catching up with the other classes. So I was trying to read a message and talk at the same time. It's going to be interesting for me that no passing in turn 1. Good idea. Yeah, that makes sense. Absolutely no passing in turn 1 between classes. It can't be done there anyway. It's not a spot. Turn 1, it can't really be done. Turn the second chicane as well. Not really enough room to be doing that. It doesn't make any sense to be jeopardising anybody's race, especially your own, trying to make the turns there. But to be fair, if you're catching a Group 3 car heading down to turn 1, you should have the overspeed in comparison to be able to make the move long before you get into turn 1. If not, you've got to slow down just as much as they have to get through it. Very easy to get around when you get into the Curva de Grande, which is straight afterwards. Plenty of room there before you get into the second chicane. You can see here, you can see here, and I don't know why this is so jumpy, this video. To be fair, I was running several different programs at the same time when I was making this one. But you can see that as soon as you get out of the corners, then there's plenty of space for the cars to get through. We've got 1 hour of racing here, and we're looking at somewhere around about 45 laps for the Group 1s, somewhere near 38 for the Group 2s. But then it really depends on pit stops, and it's, for me, I think a 1, possibly 2 stop race for them, depending on what strategy they want to go for. Wooly and Fila, I think, are going to have a really good battle out in front. They've demonstrated just how much pace they've got. I think Wooly just found that extra little bit through qualifying. But if Fila can get tucked in behind, and we know Fila's very good at making tyres last a long time. That tends to be Filo's strategy. We're going to get involved in the race now, and without further ado, let's get all of the do's up. There we go. We'll do what we usually do. We'll watch the Group 3s from Maligator's car. The reason being is we'll get to see what happens with them and what happens behind. So here we go. Race is about to begin. Down to turn 1 we go. They should be spread out enough there not to be a problem with the Group 1s. Group 1's already disappearing. Let's go with Night Shifter into turn 1. Cars behind won't be arriving for some time. Single file they go. Although Tyler having a look at a slightly different line through there, but you can see them all lining up. Wooly staying in the lead ahead of the rest. Here come the Group 3s. You can see just how much they close up with those faster cars through the corners. They only really have the speed advantage in a straight line. Let's stick with the Group 1s for now, see if Philo can make an early challenge. Tyre wise, and we do need to bring that up. You see Wooly started on the softs, mediums for Philo, softs for Roberts, mediums for Tyler, and mediums also for Night Shifter. Wooly is going to be pulling, or should, on those soft tyres, be pulling away from Philo. He'll have that little bit extra traction out of the corners, a little bit more speed and grip through the corners, and we'll want to use that to make as big a gap as possible. But of course, we've seen what Philo does. Philo is happy to lose a place or two, to just sit back, to do his race, do his thing, let the cars ahead pull away and disappear, and they're already doing just that, these two. And Philo getting the benefit of some slipstream as well off the back of Wooly. Already 3.5 seconds from Roberts. Roberts and Tyler got their own little battle going on. Night Shifter as well. This is the battle for third going on. So Wooly and Philo off disappeared. See you later. Ridders ahead of Maligator for the Group 3s as they come around Parabolica for the end of lap number 2. Maligator there just with him. Gikela 1.4 seconds in that AMG GT3. Nicky Nicky's going very slowly. Something's happened to Nicky, or is he waiting? Did him and Arcanite have a little coming together maybe? It looks like that might be the case because Nicky going very slowly. It looks like he was giving the place back to Arcanite. Neither of them have any damage, so was there a push to pass somewhere that caused that? Whatever happened, we missed it, but that was very sporting from Nicky to do that. But that has left them both severely adrift of Gikela up there in 8th position. And Philo has already taken the lead of this race. Did Wooly make a mistake? We'll have a look and see if we can see something on the replay, but it looks to me that it was just a case of Slipstream getting on. No, it's not here, so this is Wooly here. Oh, he's already behind Philo. So Philo got that move done and is 3.2 seconds clear of Wooly. So whatever happened to Wooly, it's allowed Philo to disappear. This is going to be hard now because Wooly hasn't got the benefit of Philo's Slipstream. He's got the soft compound tyres, but he needs to get them warmed up, get them working, and make that move as quickly as possible, at least try and close up as quickly as possible. We know he's certainly got the pace because he demonstrated that in qualifying. There is Roberts 1.4 back. He's starting now to edge away from Tyler and Night Shifter, 2.7 to Tyler. He's got Night Shifter all up in his business. Having a look into the braking zone at turn 1, getting it slowed down. Does he get that move done? It's the old switcher. There's a yellow flag up ahead. Who's that for? It doesn't look like it's any of the group. Or there's a penalty there for Philo. He's picked up quite a few penalties here already. A couple in qualifying and one already in the race here on lap number 3, but it's still 3.7 clear. Now it looks like Wooly has made a mistake somewhere because Roberts is ahead of him. So that yellow flag was for Wooly as Roberts up 2.6 seconds clear. Wooly's not, he was so quick in qualifying, but he's not transferring that to the race, and this is a bit of a blow because he's on those soft compound tyres and he wants those to last as long as possible. And in the background, that's Night Shift getting it all kinds of wrong out of the second Lesmo. And you can see here, it's looking good for him initially. He's on the power, he's ahead, he's got the car behind, he's got a bit of a gap. Gets on the power just a little bit too early, doesn't get it slowed down enough. And then just the back end, as soon as you get on the power, the back end wants to step out and kill you. And that's going to put him behind Tyler, and that's some way behind Tyler as well. That puts him 11 seconds back. Only 19 seconds ahead of Ridders, who currently leads in that Group 3 class. He's got Maligator 4 company, the Lexus, the two Lexus runners actually. This Lexus, very, very good car in this Group 3 class as they come into Ascari for lap number 3, just separated by just half a second. Gikela, a bit of a gap already back, 3.7 seconds on those medium compound tyres. But with the shenanigans that went on with Nicky and Arcanite, and Arcanite looks like he's had another problem. Or is he pit already? It looks like Arcanite's already been into the pits and put on soft compound tyres, and that's why we've got such a big gap disparity there. But Nicky 13 seconds off the back of Gikela. There's Philo leading the way. Fastest lap thus far with 134.4. You can see Roberts in the background. He's got Wooly now. Wooly desperately trying to cling on to that top 3 and find his way back towards Philo Engineering, which has got to be his absolute aim. Started on pole, of course, and would like to see himself back there as quickly as possible. He's on the soft compound tyres, so it's actually paramount that he gains some improvement on track position over the next 40 odd laps for him, or certainly before he pits, because he's already run the soft compound tyre. He's going to have to run the medium at some stage. Around the Parabolica he goes, he's back on the power. It's 2.8 seconds to Roberts up ahead. Roberts just seems to find a bit more pace. He's also on those soft compounds as well, but not closing at the moment on Philo. Fastest lap for Roberts is a 35.1. Fastest lap for Wooly a 35.4. That's to Philo's 33 points. Sorry, Roberts has done I did a 33.6, I apologise. That last lap, 33.6. That was phenomenal. Philo with a 34.3. So Roberts also finding some pace. We knew he would have some race pace. Up to the Group 3s yet again. That's Ridders. He's still got Maligator for company. Those two, the two Lexuses, proving why this Lexus is such a strong Group 3 car, and it hasn't been nerfed in the latest update. And I don't know what we got in the last update. Nothing, certainly for online players. And it'll be interesting to find if we got anything worthwhile, or if it was just another couple of shitty cars. We certainly didn't get any tracks. Heading down, this is the end of lap 5 for these guys, and we fully expect to start to see. And we're having a look. Where's Arcanite? Arcanite's there, and just behind Arcanite, that is Philo coming through. I said somewhere around lap 4, lap 5. And it's lap 5 for Philo, it's lap 4 for Arcanite. He's already caught him, so Philo already finding the first move out of Ascari on those Group 3s. 1.6 seconds, that is a flagrant abuse of track limits, but it looks like he might have got away with that. No, he didn't. He did get the penalty, as we expect. A number of penalties for Philo seem to be working out. Roberts here, though, closing that gap. He is utilising that much quicker pace on those soft compound tyres to close this gap, pull away from Woolley, who's not had the greatest starts to this race. He peaked. He's like one of those kids that peaked in high school. He peaked in qualifying and hasn't been able to transfer that brilliance to the racetrack just yet. Roberts is just within a second of Philo now, really closing that gap much quicker than we expected. When Philo made the move on Woolley, I genuinely thought he was just going to disappear off into the distance, but Roberts has no intention of allowing that to happen, and he is already finding a way to reel Philo in. Philo keeping that gap 1.5 seconds at the moment, but if Roberts gets within that slipstream range, we could quite easily see him getting swallowed up, and they're coming up behind now. What will be, I think, Gikela. Is it Gikela? No, it'll be Gikela, I think it is. Nicky, sorry. It's Nicky they're coming up behind. And that's the penalty served by Philo. Look how quickly Roberts catches him, makes the move. He left it very late to pull out of that slipstream. Round the outside, Philo's going to pick up another penalty there. Well off the track. Losing a lot of time. Tucked in behind that Mustang, both trying to find a way through. Philo holding that inside line. It is neck and neck across the line, but Roberts just with that little bit extra momentum to get him across the line into turn 1. He goes, and through the chicane, Roberts takes the lead of this race here on lap 7, although both getting a bit squirrely out of the chicane. Penalty though, as we thought, for Philo, going very wide in Parabolica on those medium compounds. That's Woolley. He's 8.4 seconds now off the pace. He has finally found some of that pace that puts him on pole with a 34.4. He now needs to find that as a consistent pace and try and find some way to get that gap, that 7.6 second gap, closed down. Does go fastest of all though through sector 1. Though catching up with the traffic as we speak. Tyler's pulled away a little bit from Night Shifter. 4.8 seconds for the American driver as they are coming through on lap 7. Ridders, he's Ridders himself. You see what I did there? No, he hasn't. He's opened up the gap a little bit from Maligator. Maligator now 1.6 behind. He's out of that slipstream range, which for Ridders is a very good thing. For Maligator, not so much, particularly as they're both on the soft compound tyres and want to get them heated up and working as best as they can, and already they're going to start seeing the Group 1s coming up behind them shortly. It's 9.2 to Gikela, who's into the pits on those medium tyres, out of fuel already. That's a lot of fuel swallowed up by Gikela there to pit quite so early. Nicky round Parabolica, he's going to stay to the left hand side and should take that 3rd position in that Group 3 class quite easily. There we go. Arcanite's been in the pits already. He had a very early stop. I'm assuming that he needed to repair some damage because I can't see any other reason why you would stop quite so early. 32 or 2019, 16, 14, 12, 9, 7, 6, 6 seconds, 5 seconds behind Kikela. It was just counting down, wasn't it? Kikela out of the pits, of course. But he will pit again, the American, before we see Kikela in. Roberts navigating the traffic and zones, really pulled away from Philo. You're not going to get much slipstream off of these Group 3 cars, but you are going to get a little bit. And he is using every little bit of it to his advantage. Through Ascari he goes, tucked in behind, and then off he goes into the distance. Past that is Ridders now. So everybody in Group 3 already lapped. Philo Engineering coming up to Ridders into Parabolica. He's going to have to. He's going to look. He's looking up the inside. Ridders went very wide. Does he stay within the white lines? This time he does. But with his record of penalties, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets another one at some point. Woolley has really closed that gap. He's got the fastest lap of the race, and he's done so again. He's now found that pace. Whatever was going wrong for Woolley is now sorted. He's got out of his head, and he's closing right up now to those front two. And a 1:32.7 is an absolutely phenomenal racing lap. Whatever mistakes he made into the back of that Lexus. A strange move there from Woolley. You would have thought he would have been a lot easier to get out of the way around the curve of Grande. But yeah, odd. That's cost him quite a lot of time actually, and certainly a lot of momentum. No damage to Ridders. Ridders will be pitting at the end of this lap, as Maligator's already been in. He's out on those medium compounds, 28 seconds back. Kikeli, we know, has pit. Arkin has pit. Nicky in the pits at the moment. As for the Group 1s, who's going to be first? Well, I think it's going to be Night Shifter. There you go. There's the question answered. Night Shifter coming at the end of this lap. He's absolutely burnt through that fuel. No fuel saving going on there for Night Shifter. Night Shifter, Night Shifter. 1.8 seconds behind Tyler. Tyler's going to stay out a few more laps, but this is going to make a massive difference, because those extra couple of laps is the difference with how much fuel you put on board in later pit stops. You're going to fill up first, because this being the first of actually probably going to be a 3-stopper at this rate, with the rate that they're coming in, a 3 or 4-stopper even, surprisingly. Very, very high fuel usage here at Monza today. Staying to the right hand side, Night Shifter will come in to the pits, and he'll be the first of those Group 1s to do so. So Tyler gets a bit of a breather. Ridders in as well from the lead of those GR3s. Where's Maligator? Has he done enough? Is the undercut strong enough for him to make that move on Ridders? Bear in mind that Ridders had that little coming together. I say he ain't coming together. He was came together upon by Woolley on that last lap. Has that had an effect on his time? There's Maligator. There's Ridders just coming out, but Maligator up to speed on tyres that are worn in. Ridders on those mediums as well, but staying rightly to that right hand side. But Maligator, his tyres already up to temperature. He's had a chance to bed those in. More blue flags for them coming. Who's that behind? That can't possibly be Roberts yet again, could it? It's not. There's Roberts there. He's coming down to the Parabolica. Does he pit at the end of this lap? Has he got enough to go one more? What about Philo? Philo certainly looks like he's got less fuel. Philo's been pushing, so I think Philo will be in this lap. If Roberts can stay out that extra lap, this could be a massive, massive difference to lap times. But he's not. He's in. Woolley will come in as well. He's in. Tyler as well. Now we'll see whether Night Shifter can get the move done on Tyler. Night Shifter's got some Group 3 cars right in his way. He needs to get past these. He's chasing down Tyler, who is in the pits this lap. Gap 30 seconds. Night Shifter really needs to get a Night Shifty on. Up to Ascari he goes. He's past Ridders. who is back out in the lead of those Group 3s, having pit, but only just. Can he get close to Tyler? Tyler's not in the pit box yet. When he gets in the pit box, we'll see where Night Shifter has ended up. So Tyler into the pit box. They start to work on the car. Here comes Night Shifter into Parabolica. Gets it slowed down from 7th gear down to 3rd. Don't want to lose that back end now. You're potentially chasing 4th. Across the line he will go. Tyler's still in the pit box. Out he's coming, but he is restricted to just 100 mile an hour coming out. Night Shifter at speed down to turn 1. Is there going to be a move potentially on in the Curva de Grande? Not quite close enough to get the move done, but he is back in the mix now, and this battle is back on. And with Tyler on the softs as well, we'll see how quickly Night Shifter can keep him in his sights. Quick look at the lead of this race against. That's Philo Engineering. He is 7.5 now behind Roberts. Roberts opting to stay on the same compound of tyres. That will save a bit of time, but he felt he didn't need to change those tyres out and that he can run them for another full stint. That may be a very, very smart decision in terms of strategy. Now, at one stage, he was... where was he? He was third on the grid. And with Wooly not getting up to speed early doors, he's lucked out and got himself a real good opportunity. He's on the soft course. Philo on those softs as well. He's run the medium tyres. Roberts still needs to do that. Is that yet another penalty for Philo? He really skirts with that line coming out of the Parabolica. 2.8 seconds a gap to Wooly. Wooly with a 1:32.7. Absolutely phenomenal lap. He's getting himself back in this mix in the top 3. He can see Philo up ahead. Everyone running on those soft compounds now, although Roberts are 10 laps old. Penalty for Wooly. That's going to be so frustrating for him. He want to take his first 5 laps and absolutely put them in the bin. They were a horrible start to this race. He's now starting to find this pace though, and can he continue on as he did from lap 6 onwards. Night Shifter, he did get ahead of Tyler, 5.8 seconds clear of Tyler now. So that earlier stop for Night Shifter worked out that he had his tyres up to temperature. He was able to make that move and pull away from Tyler there, running in 5th. In terms of the Group 3 battle, Ritter's getting a little bit wrong there. Very, very slow coming through that chicane. We'll have another little look and see where he got that wrong. Down to turn 1. He's looking, of course, for that 150 metre board on that left-hand side. That's where he gets on those brakes. Was a little bit late on the brakes. Gets turned in. How wrong did he get? Well, he very nearly lost the back end. Picked up a huge penalty, though. 1 second penalty, which is going to bite him in the arse later on in this lap. Particularly with Maligator, he's only 1.1 seconds behind, and we'll see very soon just how much this could affect Ridders. Maligator, good exit out of the second Lesmo as they run up the hill now towards Ascari. The penalty line awaits on that run as you come out of Ascari and head down to Parabolica. On the brakes, under the bridge for Ridders, under the bridge for Maligator. Good exit out of here, and this could be a lead change in the Group 3 class. Good exit for the two Lexuses, so evenly matched in terms of pace. Look how much time he's losing, and that is a change in the lead of this race. Maligator taking first place for the Group 3 class. Ridders now with some work to do. There's Maligator on those medium tyres as well. And that is definitely going to be another penalty for Ridders on the way out of Parabolica. He was in the dirty air of Maligator coming through there, and he just needed that little bit more grip, which he didn't have. And I don't know how he's got away with that, but he should have got a penalty for that. That track limits there were abused like a child in a priest's house. I've got to say that was he got away with that, ironically, like most priests do. Right, looking at third place, there's not really a battle going on for third. That's Gear Kayla, the British driver in the AMG GT3. 14 seconds off the battle for the lead of this race, but 7.1 clear of Nicky in the Mustang. Nicky at 21 seconds clear of Arcanite, who's not finding anywhere near the pace here. Wooly's 32.7 still unbeaten out in the lead. So is Ridders going to get back at Maligator? Is there an opportunity now to find a way? We'll go on board with Ridders as we see him chasing down. Oh, look, it's always having to turn the car almost full opposite lock to stop that back end from disappearing out from underneath him. That will have cost him a little bit of time, but in the slipstream he will be, and this is going to be a good opportunity through Ascari. Good exit out of here, Paramount. Every time, raggedy edge. This Lexus absolutely on the edge of its performance. It is millimetres away every corner from disappearing off into a fireball in the wall and making him full on Paul Walkered. Much better into Parabolica, but did he slow up too much at the last minute and give himself not close enough to Maligator on the run down to turn one? He's certainly picking up some slipstream. He's letting Maligator punch that hole in the air for him, take away the drag, reducing all of that air resistance. Into turn one they go, not quite close enough to make a move this time. He needs to hang with him, stay in that dirty air now, sit under that wing of that other Lexus. You can see just how much he struggles though in the dirty air coming out of the corners, just how much it affects the balance of that Lexus when you try and get back on the power. There's just no resistance there to help you, and he's fighting the car through every corner. You see him getting closer, edging ever closer. Then he gets in the dirty air through the chicanes, and then the back end trying to step out on that Lexus. A good exit out of Lesmo 2 could make all the difference here. He's sticking with him. It's a really good chase down here. If you're just joining us, this is the SIMSA Endurance Challenge, 1 hour around Monza. 5 drivers in the Group 1, 5 drivers in the Group 3. Multi-class racing at its finest. Blue flags are waving. That is the race leader, Roberts, coming up behind this battle for the race leader of the Group 3 class. What a time to be coming upon a race-leading battle. And I have no doubt that Roberts will be aware that this is a battle for the lead, but the much faster car coming through, absolutely coming through. They're going to tuck in behind, pick up what little slipstream is available. Ridders with a great run this time, down to the Parabolica. Can he make the move into this final corner? No room up the inside. Maligator doing a very good job of covering off that inside line. Nice and wide on the exit. That's what you want. We've seen how much he abused it and got away with it. Not going to try that this time. That is Philo Engineering coming through. He's got some room to make up. Wooly not too far behind. That's Wooly there in the distance. Shouldn't catch them before turn one, but certainly we'll be catching them somewhere around the curve de Grande. Into turn one they go. And again, Ridders is so much closer, but just can't get the move done. And again, you can see just how badly this car is affected by the that was an interesting move there by Ridders to move onto the outside, because it made sure that Wooly had to make a double move. Really, he had to go inside of him and then outside of Maligator to get that move done. I think Ridders would be better off staying in Maligator's slipstream, which is exactly where he is now. Just look how close he is to the back of Maligator's Lexus. It's Brit on Brit as we head into the final Lesmo, and up the hill they go. This is a really good one for Ridders, and I wouldn't be surprised if Ridders has the opportunity to make this move out of Ascari even. I was thinking of Enter Shikari. He's going to make the move into Ascari. That's a brave move. Surely you don't want to be giving up slipstream to the other driver. That, I'm not sure that was the wisest place to make that decision, because Malaga is in the slipstream. He can make the move straight back at him. I think what Ridders needed to do there was just hang on, hang in the back, make the move here, or make the move out of Parabolica where there's no way for your opponent to come back at you. And unless he can find a bit more pace now, he's going to be punching that hole in the air, and Maligator's going to be diving through it like a man possessed. He's got a good run out of Ascari. They're heading down. This is going to be the end of lap 15 for these two lead cars in this Group 3 class. He didn't get a chance to get back at him. Ridders did just hold him at bay, but only just. Maligator's still very much within that slipstream range. Out in the lead, it looks like Roberts has made a mistake. Error for him on those worn tyres, and that has allowed Woolley and Philo through. Can we see where that error was made? He'd already made it before they got through, so it just goes to show that it was a tactical decision not to change tyres in that first fuel stop. And it looks like the time it gained him initially to give him that little gap out in front and give him a bit of breathing room, it's cost him now because he's lost some grip, and that's allowed Philo on the much fresher tyres and Woolley also on fresher tyres to get through. And order is almost restored back to how it was when they qualified. Of course, Woolley qualifying on pole, Philo just behind him in second. But it's getting back on. Roberts back into third where he qualified. Thrown away a really good opportunity to maintain the lead of this race. And his tyres now looking worse for wear. Is he going to have to pit earlier than planned? Was that the wisest choice? At the time, I thought it was a very, very solid tactical decision. But you only make that tactical decision if you feel you have got absolute performance through those tyres, because the couple of seconds it saves you just isn't worth it if something like this happens, which has now happened, of course. Philo just holding a gap 3.2 over Woolley. All three of these front runners on the soft compound tyre. Night Shifter, massive gap now over Tyler. He made that move on Tyler in the pit window, or just after the pit window. Now much ahead, but Tyler, of course, is a different pit strategy than everybody else, so he'll be pitting later than the cars, certainly the Night Shifter. Night Shifter with I don't know, he's burning through that fuel so much quicker, and that's 17 seconds. That's not a full pit stop, so if he does have to pit more than Tyler, that's not going to benefit him in any way. Tyler just needs to stay in this and recognise that Night Shifter is pitting earlier than everybody else. We'll have to just kind of factor that into his strategy. Don't over push now. If you're Tyler, you look at when he's coming in, you think, okay, I know that he's got to come in sooner than me. I know I'm going to get a run on him at that point. I'm going to take that position back. The longer I stay out, the more chance he's got to pit at least one more time than me, maybe two, and then that puts me in a much better position. We're not far off the halfway point of this race. Let's have a full rundown from the rear. In the Group 3 class, it is Arcanite, the American driver, who's on nice fresh rubber, having just pit 28 seconds behind Nicky in that Mustang, who is all up in Gikela's business, giving him something really to think about at this stage. Is Gikela able to keep him at bay? Gikela currently running on the softs as well. Fastest lap for Nicky, 48.2. Fastest lap for Gikela, 48.1. Very similar in terms of pace. Nicky now going to get the run out of the Lesmo, and you can see just how wrong Gikela got that. Made a mistake coming out there, going a little bit wider, where he's just being pushed by the car behind. Didn't do too great for the first one either. Kind of in the wrong position, had to re-sort his car, and yeah, just had to let off the throttle, couldn't keep his foot in. That allowed Nicky to just breeze on through and give him a bit of a gap. So Ritter's into the pits for his second stop. He's onto those medium compounds. Maligator is he's pits a lap earlier by the looks of things. He comes through though and takes the lead of the race over Ridders. So again, Maligator leading from Ridders, having pit a lap earlier. Interesting choice from him to do that. It shows that the undercut is working here. We've seen it work much more. So Roberts into the pits. He's going to be in. He's coming in sooner than planned because of the tyre issue. He tried it. He rolled the dice on those tyres in that first stop. It didn't come up 6 for him. So he's pitting early. So is he going to be able to count on the undercut here to help him? Now they're looking at about 45 laps, give or take. Well, I say 40 laps actually. We're halfway point, so I think 40 laps is a a good benchmark. So they'll be pitting again sometime around lap 30. They're all going to have to pit again. Philo, Wooly, Tyler, they will all have to pit at least twice more. Night Shifter potentially twice as well, which will give Tyler a bit of a benefit. Tyler's got another couple of laps left in him before he needs to come in. He pit on lap 10 last time. Will he do it 10-10-10? Essentially, that's what we're looking at. If that's the case, Night Shifter, he had to pit. He's had to pit on lap 9 and lap 9 again. So he's doing a lap less than them, which means he's going to have to either find a way to stretch out his fuel in the next couple of stints, or he will still have a second stop to do. That's Philo in at the end of lap 20. Wooly following in. I'm assuming Roberts is going to come in. Oh, getting it all wrong there through Ascari. It's going very much the way it did for Wooly early on now for Roberts, who made the most of the mistakes that Wooly made to get himself into the lead of this race early doors. But the mistakes just starting to creep in to his laps now. Does he come? Well, he actually came in a lap earlier, so undercut for him. How well has this undercut worked? Will he just coming out now? Has it given him second place? Not quite, but very close. And of course, tyres up to speed. Wooly on the softs, Roberts on the softs as well. 2.1 seconds. Philo 5 seconds clear. He's already run those medium compound tyres. He can run softs again in this last stint. Tyler into the pits. Night Shifter comes through. We expected that. Night Shifter is on a different strategy to everybody else. Ridder's not been able to shake Malaga. These two in that Lexus have been absolutely at it from lap number 1. Malagator was on pole, of course, with Ridders joining him on that front row. It has changed places. Malagator not been able to hold Ridders off for any long period of time. He's in the slipstream again now. Is this going to be the opportunity as they head out of Parabolica? Not quite close enough here, but he needs a good exit. If he's within 4/10 as they exit this corner, he could make the run before they get to turn 1. But it doesn't look like he is. He's already making the inroads though, but he's somehow found some sort of boost out there. I think Ridders is just far enough ahead. He's going to be able to hold on into the braking zone in turn 1. Whether Malagator's got the stones to throw one up the inside or brake really late, he doesn't there. They're going to go into the Curva Grande, 1 to astern yet again. Good battling between these two. These two have shared the lead of this race in this Group 3 class pretty much throughout. There's Kikela into the pits. He's managed to stretch that stint out a little bit. Whether that helps him out later, because of course Arcanite is going to come through and take 9th position, Nicky through into 8th. That's of course that's Wooly coming through on him. Quick look here while we're waiting for Malagator and Ridders to find a way to battle. Just checking the times out in front, nothing really changing there. So back to this battle here, and Ridders getting it a little bit squirrely out of Lismo 2. And you can see over the wing, look at the power of the slipstream heading up the hill and under the bridge. He's sticking to the inside line. Malagator on the outside line, having a little go through Ascari. Again, we talked about this before. It's not necessarily the ideal place to make the move. Stay tucked in behind. Get that good exit out. Use the slipstream to make your move. That's where you want to do it. You don't want to be trying to make your move into Ascari, because you can see that it's cost him some time. Cost him a couple of tenths there, trying to make that move into the Ascari chicane. Round Parabolica they go. Oh, right on the cusp of track limits there as he comes through on the power though, and down to turn 1 again. He's not quite close enough to capitalise on the slipstream. So Ridders survives yet another lap with Malagator on his tail. And there's a turn off for the books. That is Philo Engineering trying to find a way through into turn 1. And I'm pretty sure the driver briefing before the race talked about trying to do that through these chicanes. It's just a foolhardy escapade. And you can see how much time that's cost him, because Wooly is all over him now. Wait until the straights. You can't go two abreast through there, no matter how quick the cars are. And they are really interfering now with the Group 3 race, massively interfering with it. That is devastating, I've got to say, for Maligator. That's cost him absolutely oodles of time. And I understand that Wooly is chasing down Philo, and Philo trying to stay away from him. But they have absolutely interfered with that Group 3 race. And it just needed them to stay out of the way and wait until the straights in between the two chicanes. But impatience there. And it could potentially have changed the shape of this Group 3 race. Maligator now out of Ridder's slipstream through that. Philo does survive, though, and does keep that 1.5 second gap to Wooly. But how much has that interfered? And I've got to say, they talked about at the beginning that there was no lapping in the chicanes, and I understand that both Philo and Wooly, desperately battling for the lead of this race. They're 3.8 clear of Roberts at the moment, and I understand they're absolutely battling for the lead of this race. But they've fully interfered with the potentially the fate of Maligator, and the Giron Ridders is going to be pretty happy. He's got the 1.5 second gap now. He can relax a little bit. He's not punching a hole in the air anymore for the other Lexus behind him. He just needs to make sure he doesn't make a mistake. Maligator now has to change his strat. He's going to have to push a little bit harder than he maybe planned to do. Take out a little bit more of his tyres, take out a little bit more of his fuel to try and close that gap on the back of Ridders. And that's all off the back of some impatience from the front runners in those Group 1 cars. And I wouldn't be at all surprised if there's some form of steward penalty coming their way. They were both Wooly a little bit more so, I think, for the second chicane, but I think Philo didn't need to get involved in the first chicane either. Right, so Arcanite in the pits on lap 20. He is filling up as we speak. Gikela is already through turn 1. Now, is that Arcanite's final stop? Can he last the final 22 minutes of this race without another stop? Not likely, I don't think. Philo with a penalty, half-second penalty. That's going to give Wooly a bit of impetus to catch him. Roberts now off the pace of these two. He was front runner early on when Wooly was getting it a little bit wrong, and Philo was pacing himself, but can't seem to catch back up now. Maybe here's the irony: is if they had waited through turn 1 and chicane 1 and chicane 2, he may well be a bit closer. So from that perspective, you can see why they wanted to get through. Still unjustified, but Night Shifter is 32 seconds clear of Tyler, but we know that he is an additional stop out of sync. He has got 2 stops still left to do, has Night Shifter. Tyler just needs to have that 1 stop somewhere around lap 30. So what he needs to do is essentially get himself in within a pit window, and he'll be absolutely fine. Slowly catching monkeys, they say. Night Shifter significantly faster, but of course 2 stops for him. Such a shame that this battle is over. Maligator not quite close enough now to the back of Ridders. Can he use that little bit of slipstream he was getting not for long enough? Has it helped at all? Has it hindered Ridders in any way and just allowed that gap to close a little bit, but not enough for Maligator to get any use of it? Real shame for this Group 3 battle. And if we'd been in split screen, then that would have been awesome. I do hope Corinthians gets his PC sorted. We've got broadcast tomorrow, my friend, so you've got to get to work, man. Get to work. Through Ascari they go. Again, Maligator not close enough to capitalise on it. He's kind of relying now on Ridders making an error. Ridders gifted the space to operate by the battle between Wooly and Philo out in the lead of this race. No other battles in this Group 3. Nicky 17 seconds clear of Gikela. Gikela, who looks like he's made a mistake somewhere. He's got Arcanite about 5.8 seconds back. Arcanite probably need to stop again. Very different strategies for the Group 3 cars across the board. Blue flags are waving for the Corvette driver. 22 Project 22 to none, proudly being supported on the Americans' car. The land of the free and the home of the American Indians, who were kicked out by the British and the Dutch and the French and the Spanish when we invaded. 1.3 seconds is the gap out in front. Woolly's not being able, despite the pair of them muscling their way through the Group 3 cars, Woolly's not been able to get within that fabled 1 second drag resistant distance of Philo. Woolly is the fastest man still on the racetrack though, with that 1:32.7. Absolutely phenomenal lap from him. Last lap 34.1 for Woolly, a 34.1 for Philo. So Philo doing a very good job at managing that gap. He's got to do it again though. He doesn't want to let Woolly get within that 1 second window. Certainly doesn't want to let him get within the half a second window that's going to benefit him greatly. Great run out of there for Woolly though. Woolly's going to make the move on Philo now, or is he going to hang back through the second chicane? They go into the Lesmos. You can see here Woolly absolutely pushing Philo to the limit again. Philo having to find a little bit of pace, and again that's another Group 3 car that's going to be interfering with their battle. He's going to get past him nice and soon. Woolly wants to get this job done before he gets into the Ascari chicane. Which way's that car going? Stays to the left. He gets a really good run up the hill into Ascari. In they go down to 4th gear. He's staying in 4th, absolutely keeping the reds nice and high in this Porsche Group 1 car. Great run out of there for Philo though. Just does enough on the exit to not allow Woolly to get tucked in. And again, it's through the corners that Woolly seems to be losing that little bit of time. Philo's got that little bit of exit speed that's just enough to keep the Brit at bay, although they are both Brits to be fair. So Philo still leads. We're on lap 28 of what we think are going to be about 40 laps here in this 1 hour race. Great run down to turn 1. Up the inside goes Woolly into the braking zone. Not quite brave enough on the brakes to brake later. Philo just holding on. Woolly very close. You can see just how much he had to brake that a little bit earlier because of the overspeed into turn 1 that he was getting from that drag reduction he was getting from Woolly. Having a look into the second chicane. Again, not a wise place to make that move in the dirty air. Difficult place to be. Gets a little bit wobbly. Just gives Philo a breather. But Woolly is finding every little bit of extra pace at the moment. An extra 10th here, an extra 10th there, and really putting Philo Engineering under pressure at the moment. But he gets that all wrong out of the second Lesmo and loses almost a second. Philo disappearing off into the distance, and Woolly has to go again with this battle. Didn't quite make it work last time. Can he find the time through Ascari yet again? A little bit late on the brakes and get into Ascari. Does he get a good exit? Not quite as good as last time. And you can visibly hear Philo breathing that sigh of relief as Woolly just off the pace there. Right, looking at the Group 3s, that's Ridders in the pits. Maligator, he's pit for just fuel, but no tyres on that last pit stop. And this is his... Now, here's the question. Can Ridders now run to the end with those tyres? 15 minutes left. I think he can. I think that's Ridder's last stop. It's a very good chance Maligator might need to change out the tyres at the end of this race. This is going to be an absolute blow. So Maligator, clearly something went wrong for him because of 2:05 there. That wasn't a good lap, and this is not an out lap either. Well, this it doesn't suggest it is. You can see there with Ridders, it is an out lap. So Maligator, this might be his first hot lap actually. So the question is whether he can make those tyres last I'm not entirely sure that's a doable thing. Ritter's tyres are looking better. He's got that little bit more fuel, although fuel not really a massive factor here for these guys. And I think that the gap is now 4.3 seconds, and they're on slightly different pit strategies. But you've got to ask the question: how much did that move from Philo into the first chicane, and then the move from Woolley into the second? How much impact did that have on this battle going forward? We know it had an immediate impact. It took Maligator out of the slipstream range of Ritter's and dropped him just off that pace. But you look down, you can see there, lap 17, 210 for Ritter's, 152 for Maligator. But what's interesting is if you look up the 149, 150, 148, for Ritter's a 148, 149, 149. You can see that it cost him some time. If I'm Maligator, I'm putting in a complaint about that. I think there's definitely grounds for stewards to look at that, considering that it was clear at the beginning of the race there was to be no overtaking through the chicanes, between classes, of course. You know, Group 3 can go up against Group 3 and Group 1 against Group 1. But, I think that was... his race has definitely been hampered by that. Nicky's on his own. He's 23 seconds behind Maligator, but a good 23 clear of Arcanite. He's going to stop soon. Arcanite with his final stop as well. Gikela should run to the end now. He's just heading down through Sector 3. Arcanite in the pits. Nicky, he will need to pit again. But he has a pit window over Gikela, so that's not necessarily a problem. But Arcanite does not. We wanted to look at this. The other one we wanted to look at is Night Shifter and Tyler, because Night Shifter, we know Tyler is going to stop here in lap 30. Woolley ahead of Philo is in. Philo also coming in. Didn't see when that overtake happened, but it eventually did. That battle is going as Philo into the box, Woolley into the box. This is going to be their final stop. Roberts has pit already early. He pits a lap early. Is this going to be a master stroke, or is he going to be in a bit of trouble on that last lap? I think he should be all right tyre-wise, certainly. He's running to the end on those medium tyres, as will Woolley have to do so as well. He's out 2.6 seconds clear of Philo, but Philo, of course, started on the soft compounds, and he's having to tuck in behind Ritter's through turn 1. That's what he should have done the last time. Now he can make the move around the curve of the Grande. That's 2.5 seconds ahead for Woolley. A bit of work for Philo to do to catch him. 10 minutes remaining. So not even 10 laps, really. Less than 10 laps for these drivers. That's Nicky into the pits. Roberts is 11.2 back. He's running to the end. He's 29 seconds clear of Night Shifter. Tyler, we know, has to pit. Night Shifter, we thought might have to go again. I still think he might. I don't know if he's going to last. We'll see. We'll see if he lasts. Maybe he does. But we saw how quickly he burned through that fuel. It's going to be touch and go. He might have to do a little bit of lift and coast here in the final stages of this race. Ritter's 5.8 clear of Maligator now. Both of them taking a risk with the tyres in that final stint. And I'm wondering whether it might have been worth Maligator putting some tyres on board. Who's that is he tussling with? That's Roberts coming through. Whether it might have been worth sacrificing a second or two for Maligator to put some fresh tyres on and then not have to worry about nursing them home, because he really could have pushed it. He was already losing out, and he's in a much better. He's not in a better position. He's in a worse position. He's certainly going to finish second, but he may have put himself in a better position to challenge for the lead had he been able to push in that final stint. And you can see there the tribute to Victor, of course, on the back of the car, 1953 to 2024. that's Ridders coming through. So that's Roberts coming through on Ridders. So Philo is already all up in Wooly's business. Wooly on those medium tyres. He's got to find a way to keep that car on the road. Remember, Wooly had a really poor start on the soft compounds when he really wanted to make that gap over Philo. Had he been able to do that, he would be in a much stronger position now. It would certainly be much further ahead if he'd been able to get those tyres working and get the car and use that pole position to his advantage. And you can see here they're coming up behind Philo, serving yet another penalty for Philo. If he wins this race, it's surely got to be a record of the most penalties served to still win the race, coming up behind Gikela round the outside. The superior grip on those soft tyres, just showing as he's closing in on Wooly. Right, 8 minutes remaining, lap 33 for the Group 1 cars. So we are looking at about 6 laps, 5 to 6 laps remaining to take to lap 38. We know that Wooly doesn't need to stop again. He's got low on fuel, but he is on the medium compound tyres. He has got a whole mirror. We'll have a look at his mirrors actually, if we can. Can't see him in his mirrors. There we go. Looking in the mirrors there, that is a whole lot of Philo in those mirrors. Philo Engineering. There's a whole lot of Wooly in his windscreen. Excuse me. Roberts can see nobody. There is no one anywhere near him. 27 seconds clear of the battle for 4th and 5th. 17 seconds behind Philo. But he was in the lead of this race and could have, and probably should have, stayed in that mix. But a mistake, and sometimes when you make a mistake, it just costs you. And it cost him this time. He capitalised on Wooly's early mistakes and Philo being on those soft compounds early, but couldn't hold that advantage. Night Shifter is 35 seconds clear of Tyler. We wondered if he has to stop again, but it looks like he got the strategy absolutely spot on, and I stand corrected. He's got to make the fuel last. Still 6.5 minutes left on that fuel, which he should just do. There's your leader for our Group 3. Is now 28 seconds clear of Maligator. Maligator's gone in and put the soft tyres on. He should have done that in the pit stop, in all fairness. Look, he had a pit window over Nicky. We know that. But had he put those on in the last pit stop, I think he would be there or thereabouts with Ridders. We'll have a look at his lap times. Now he's got the fresh rubber on. And we will be able to tell whether he would have caught him, because he was, 6 seconds behind him when they came out of the pits. 24 seconds to Nicky. 24 seconds from Nicky to Arcanite, who has held off over Gikela, who looked pretty racy, Gikela, during qualifying. Finished on the third on the grid for the Group 3s, but not been able to transfer that into consistent, solid race pace. And essentially he needs to find a second a minute over the next, or the last 5 minutes of this race, the next 3 and a bit laps. His last lap was on 51.1, Arcanite at a 50.8, so he's going to have to find some times from somewhere. Talking of finding time from somewhere, Philo Engineering, he's making that move on Wooly. We knew it was going to come. Wooly very, very wide through the parabolica, but he's on those medium tyres. We knew that this was going to happen, and it happened very, very easily in the end through that final corner. We'll have a little look, but I tell you what, Wooly's having another go into turn 1, and Wooly's straight back at him into turn 1. Is Philo going to have another go at the Curva Grande? They are side by side. Last 4 minutes of this 1 hour endurance race here at Monza, and it's Wooly from Philo Engineering. They are duking it out. It was Wooly, then it was Philo, then it was Wooly again, then it was Philo, and it's Wooly again leading this race. They've got about 3 laps remaining here. This is going to be an absolute doozy of a battle. You can see, let's have a look at the energy. Is pretty much the same. Tyres pretty much the same, other than the fact that Wooly, of course, is on the mediums. Philo particularly in the final sector, is going to have an advantage with that additional grip round the parabolica through Ascari. He's going to have that little benefit over him. The best place to make the move, of course, is going to be out of the parabolica. Anywhere before that, and Wooly can just tuck back in and make that move. And Wooly did not pick up a penalty going wide there in that last move around the parabolica. So here we go on ball, or on the chase cam, as the sun starts to fade here in Italy. Right on the cusp of track limits for Philo, getting as much as he can out of the track. Wants to get tucked in behind, or is he just going to back off a little bit now and give himself some clear air? Doesn't want to get caught in the dirty air through these chicanes. They've got some back markers in the Group 3 class just up ahead. This could the Group 3s get their revenge back on the Group 1s and have a say in the 1-2 of the championship? Roberts is 20 seconds back. He's not going to get involved unless something very, very drastic happens between these two in the next couple of laps. And this is the penultimate lap here at Monza. Wooly leads from Philo Engineering. That's your 1-2. They've pretty much been 1-2, apart from Roberts' little foray with the lead. They've been the 1-2, and Wooly gets that all kinds of wrong. Makes the move on that back marker. That is the Lexus of... is that Malagators? That's Malagators Lexus. There. Now, see, if I'm Malagator, this is why I don't race. If I'm Malagator, I'm going to hold Wooly up there. Just as revenge. What a run through Ascari, though, for Philo Engineering. Through that penalty line, neither of them with a penalty to serve. You can just see Wooly seems, for some reason, just at the end of the straight, just have that little bit more impetus to make to stay away, despite punching a hole in the air for the Porsche of Philo. Is Philo close enough this time? This is not even the last lap for these two. The pace they're going, they've got one more lap to go after this. Through the chicane they go. So we'll get to watch the Group 3s cross the line very briefly, because these two have got another lap of racing in front of them. Final lap for the Group 3's Ridders leads from Malaga to 23 seconds now. Nicky is 30 seconds back, 26 back to Arcanite. And Gikeda now 21 seconds off the pace. Is Tyler any closer to Night Shifter? Well, there we go. Tyler pits again. Night Shifter miles ahead up the road. There we go. There we have it. This is the only battle to watch. Philo Engineering on Wooly. This is how they lined up on the grid, and Wooly again gets it wrong out of the second Lesbo, but seems again to be able to edge away. He's so slow through the corners, Wooly, but has just an extra little boost when it comes to straight line speed, and he's obviously tweaked that car in such a way to give him that extra edge once he gets the hammer down through 6th gear. And a penalty for Philo as they head towards the last lap. That's going to be served on the final lap of this race. Has Wooly done enough to win here despite having such a poor start to this race? This would be an absolute phenomenon. We've got, again, some back markers. They need to get out of the way. That's Ridders. Ridders needs to pull over. They're coming up to turn 1. The last thing they need is to incur these guys in turn 1. Philo using the slipstream he can get. Absolutely revving it out in the top of 6th gear to try and find a way up the back of Woody. One last opportunity, half-second penalty for him. Nothing for Woody to serve. And Wooly, that's Malaga finished now. So Ridders gets one final lap in the lead. And that's Roberts finished as well. So here we go, racing to the line. Philo Engineering with that penalty. Through the second chicane they go. Nothing left of this race. Just a few corners remain. It's Philo Engineering who started second. Started on those medium compound tyres, got the lead of the race early on. Roberts then took that lead. He stayed there or thereabouts. Wooly came back at him. Get out of the way, they're screaming. Get out of the way to Gikela. Down to the Ascari chicane. We know that through that Ascari chicane, Wooly just seems to disappear out of here. Last opportunity for Philo. He's really going to need to be absolutely absolutely on the power out of here, and he is. He started to make some inroads, but is he going to be close enough? It is 4/10 of a second penalty served. Job done. This race is over, and Wooly is going to take the win here as he heads round the final corner to take the win. The penalty just keeping Philo Engineering at bay, but he's still going to finish, I think, within half a second of the leader, and it is Wooly from Philo Engineering. DSR Roberts coming home in third. Night Shifter in fourth, ahead of Tyler by almost a minute. Ridders 20 seconds clear. He's on his final lap now. He's got 1 minute 31 seconds to get this lap 33 done. The only Group 3 car that made it to lap 33. He's run out of fuel, so he's going to have to try and trundle home with no fuel on board. Maybe he should have just stopped before the line. He was clearly 20 seconds clear of everybody else. But oh, how Maligator would desperately be desiring an extra lap right now. Now, had he put tyres on in that last pit stop and not had to pit again, Maligator's winning this race because Ridders has run out of fuel. Maligator would have made this final lap and absolutely taken the win here. Hard done by twice. Once by a Group 1 battle between Wooly and Philo, and the second time with his own strategy, and costing himself a win here in this Group 3 class. How about that for an absolute doozy of a battle out in front, though, between Wooly and Philo Engineering. 21 seconds. Is he going to make it home? Just with 15 seconds remaining. Not even that. Across the line. And there he goes. He does make it. Ridders takes the win here. Final lap, though, with no fuel. And he must have loved the fact that Maligator didn't quite make it. But great win from Wooly. Despite his first few laps being absolutely awful. He got that job done. That's another week done and dusted. Back next week for more action. And this time we really will be split screen. Because Crentis has got everything he needs now to get this done. All that's left to say is congratulations to Wooly. That was absolutely phenomenal finish from you. But great racing also from Philo Engineering. Ridders as well, and of course Maligator. Great battle from Maligator. Just couldn't finish in the end. Strategy and battling cost him the win in that Group 3 class. Thank you for joining me. This is the end of SIMSA for another week. We'll be back next week, same bat time, same bat channel. It's been emotional.